Okay, starting the stream. Give me a second. Right, hear the tunes. You have a great show.
All right, thanks.
Come with us on a journey into the unknown, the unexplained, and the unbelievable. We will test your senses and challenge your beliefs. A world where science and religion clash. Or do they? You will meet real people and hear real stories, but you will not believe. You will witness strange sights and hear strange sounds, but you will not believe. This is the New England Ghost Project. Welcome to the nightmare.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Ghost Chronicles, the medium rare edition, right here on TogiNet Radio, PowerX Radio, and where all good podcasts go to die. I am Ron Kolick, your host, the gatekeeper around the unknown, the unexplained, and the unbelievable New England Zone, Van Helsing. With me, my co-host, psychic medium, the rare psychic medium, Leslie Martin.
Hey, hey.
There
How are
you
you
go.
today, Ron?
Oh, outstanding, outstanding. And with us today is a guy that's been doing this for a long time. He exploring monsters and myths and all kinds of weird stuff. He is Mr. Lon Strickler. I think I got his name right, hopefully. Lon?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you got it correctly.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, welcome. So you've been I looked at you like your podcast and your other stuff, and it's like you really got some really cool and interesting things that are on that thing. You do a like a blog too, I believe. It's on there, and you pick up some really interesting stories. Where the heck did you get them all?
Most of them are from people contacting me.
Really?
Yeah, I've been involved with the paranormal now since the mid '70s.
Oh wow!
And I am an intuitive. I'm also a clairsentient, and yeah, I kind of do all kinds of different stuff. I first started out with doing spirit and infestations and possible attachments for a while. I
Oh
still
wow!
do it, but after I had a Bigfoot encounter in 1981, I started getting interested in cryptids, and that's where most of what I do now. But I do everything. I'm a kind of eclectic paranormalist. Anything that looks interesting to me, I will look into.
I think that's because you're really interested in the mysteries and the things we can't explain. I'm the same way. I have a degree in environmental science, so I'm interested in all everything really. And so I'm kind of in that same field. I talk about everything and anything. So and investigate anything and anything, but not as much as you. I mean, your tales on there are really interesting. I remember we actually used one on the morning show one time because some woman who was contacted by Bigfoot telepathically in Utah or someplace, and it's like, wow, these stories are off. It's like where are these coming from? And it just amazes me that people nowadays are willing to talk about this stuff.
Oh, they're more willing to talk now than they used to be. Ever since paranormal's become kind of mainstream, I mean, being on TV, the internet, and even in films, as opposed to what it used to be like. It was like pulling teeth when I first started out. Nobody wanted to talk about it. They wanted to look into it, but they didn't want you going beyond that. And I collected accounts and investigations I had done for years, just writing them down and keep them in journals and such. But when I decided to start blogging back in 2005. Well, that's when I started opening the books up and putting it out there for the most part. And I've been picking up a lot of interest over the years, and people contact me directly now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Do you
Lon,
have?
where are you based?
Yeah.
I'm in South Central Pennsylvania. I'm just 11 miles east of Gettysburg.
Oh, that's a good place to be.
Yeah, I was born.
For
Actually,
our
I was
happenings.
born and raised here, and out of school, I moved down to Baltimore. I lived down there for about 40 years. Then I moved back up here in 2016. So, yeah, I mean, I spent a lot of time on the battlefield as a kid. I was a little history nerd, but, I was also, I had these abilities I didn't really understand. And, one encounter I had at Gettysburg kind of sparked it all and got me realizing that maybe there's something a bit different about me. So, beyond that, I started getting into the paranormal. And when I was in high school back in the early mid 70s, I I started doing investigations. In fact, when it was a time when, you'd say you're a paranormal investigator, you really got that crazy look like, what the hell are you talking about? And me living in a very conservative area, it was kind of hard to get cases, but back then, of course, no internet and word of mouth kind of set things off. And when I did move down to Maryland, I was still doing cases up here and throughout the Mid Atlantic. So, yeah, I mean, it keeps me busy. If I didn't love doing it, I wouldn't be doing it in retirement. So, I just keep on going.
So is your intuitive ability? Wait, but first of all, regarding that, have you had any training or anything, or is that just something that you have developed on your own?
No, I've known having it since I was 5 or 6, but I didn't really understand it at all. And it was mostly me kind of hitting and missing the stuff. And I eventually learned how to recognize what I was sensing and when there was energy around me. And I kind of took it beyond that and I tried to build on it. And that's where I'm at now.
Do you find that your ability is useful in, for instance, if you're looking for a Bigfoot or some cryptid, or do you think that comes in handy, or you do even use it?
Oh, I do use it. Absolutely. I'm a trained remote viewer. I was trained by a retired worker at MI6 in Great Britain. And I took a 6-month course with them. And I started taking the information, everything I had learned and started doing actual haunting cases and infestation cases and applying it. I did a few tweaks to the protocol, but I definitely use it for every investigation I'm involved with now.
Do you use it to investigate remotely? For instance, do you look for a Bigfoot remotely?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
how,
Can you walk
how
us
do you
through that?
verify that? Go ahead, Liz.
I was just going to ask, could you walk us through how that works for you?
Well, basically what I do, I you know, I usually try to work with a monitor if I can. It's not always feasible. I do work with a couple other remote viewing teams, especially there's one I work with in Australia. But we have been, working together all these years. So what I do is when I'm working on if I'm working on a cryptid case that I need answers to, basically, just like the Chicago Mothman case we've been working on for 14 years now. Mm-hmm. I started using remote viewing with that just myself. My team didn't get involved with the remote viewing. I could probably teach it to them, but quite honestly, I don't have the patience to really do that. So yeah, I use it on my own, and I do use a couple colleagues if I do need them. But I basically go through the protocol, go through the phases that if you read any manual about coordinate remote viewing or scientific remote viewing, you'll see the phases that you go through, and you're basically using your subconscious mind to pick up clues. And as you're doing, you're writing things down, and you write down what comes to you, and yeah, I mean I have used that for many years now, and it does help. A lot of times, not, psychic ability isn't or intuitiveness is not really part of the protocol, but eventually, as you're going through the phases, it does come in there, especially for me because I'm just so used to using it. It just becomes part of what I do. It's not necessarily true remote viewing. I call it astral perceptions. Basically, I'm using a kind of remote viewing, but I'm picking up on other things as well.
So is it similar to psychic detective work, where you work on a police case and it's not quite the same because it's already happened, but you're still seeing things involved in that case in the present time?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times when I'm doing a cryptid case, present activity can be picked up on. It has occasionally happened, but for the most part, you're picking up and working on past events. And as you go through it, you can kind of correlate between what happened then and what's going to happen and pick up on a lot of other things as well.
Now, I just saw just a couple of days ago that there was a Bigfoot sighting in Pennsylvania. Are you
Hmm.
on that? On
No,
looking into
that
that?
no, we there's a lot of sightings in Pennsylvania. That sighting was a BFRO B class sighting. It got picked up by the newspaper. In fact, I looked at it today for the first time and went through everything and then posted on the blog today. But yeah, that's one of many. We get a lot of reports. I probably get reports out of Pennsylvania 2 or 3 times a day.
When you
Oh,
say
wow.
B class sighting, how do they classify them?
Uh, well, this B class sighting was basically because they didn't really see it.
Oh, okay.
They saw what a form, a shadow of this being, and because it was no encounter or no recognizable encounter, it's usually put in a B class.
Oh, I get it. So there are classes like similar to EVPs and so forth.
Well, it's the BFRO's classes, so they call it a B class.
Okay, I get it. So going back to what you do, so if you use your remote viewing for instance, on the Chicago Mothman, how do you correlate that with collecting evidence that it's provable? I mean, because basically remote viewing is just your thoughts on what's going on. It's not provable, or is it?
Well, I use the anecdotal evidence from the witness and the location and such. I've got other team members that live in the area. If we need to go out and actually look at the location in the Chicagoland area, then we will do that. But just any case, what I do is if it requires me going to the location, I can usually use some RV sessions before I go out there, then naturally afterwards. It kind of clarifies what evidence you have picked up for the most part. But again, with me, my intuitiveness and my clear sentence always comes into it, and it's kind of revised remote viewing. It's not like the government we use or what other groups would use when they use several people to do a group session with a
Mhm.
monitor.
Yeah, I mean, what I was thinking about is like, okay, so you go, you see a remote view, you see, okay, I see the Chicago Mothman, he's here. he's left this behind, this evidence, so you can go there and actually verify that evidence that you saw remote viewingly, or you could perhaps go where you or maybe that's not how it works, where you could actually go and capture a video of him or a photo of him or even an audio.
Well, what I do is I can normally, by using remote viewing and my form of astral perception, I can perceive the creature itself from what first of what the witness states it is, which it's all perception with witnesses. You take what they give you.
Right.
Many times with something like this, you're perceiving something much different or slightly different. And I can usually get a pretty raw vision of what this thing looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you do with that information?
I just keep it in the records. I report on it. Anytime I get a report, I myself and my other colleagues look it over. Then it's posted, and we do a lot of verification with the other members as well. And we report it and continue as we go on. We do stay in close contact with the witnesses until we come up with the information that it comes to the point where we've got all the information we can get. So this case in particular, and like I said, I've been involved for 14 years now. We've got 182 sightings of the map right now.
Wow.
That we believe are actual legit sightings. Of course, you're going to get people that try to pull the wool over your eyes. That happens with any type of investigation. But we're pretty quick at weaning a lot of that out. Yeah, it's different. I mean, when you tell people about what you do and using your own abilities to investigate these creatures, they're very skeptical about it. But it's just like second nature to me now.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's like everything in the paranormal. You should have some type of skepticism, but you also have to have some acceptance because really the paranormal is based on eyewitness accounts, and without people's own perception, then basically there wouldn't be any paranormal because we wouldn't have these accounts.
Right.
Right. So, but do you find that I mean, Bigfoot is extremely popular nowadays for some particular reason. Do you believe that we'll ever find true evidence, like actually, for instance, a body, for instance?
Well, it just depends. I believe that even though I had an encounter with one years ago, I do truly believe that they exist. I do believe that they're, for the most part, interdimensional beings. I mean, I do acknowledge that there are areas where there very well could be indigenous creatures. I mean, Pacific Northwest, down around the Gulf, a few other areas where you see a lot of family groups. And but overall, it's normally singular sightings, and I think they do have the ability to move in and out between their dimension and our linear Earth plane. How they do that, we don't know. But I have found this to be relevant in a lot of cryptid encounters and a lot of cryptid investigations. Many times now, as opposed to what it used to be like, because I think more people are accepting of it. When you do look into a cryptid case, there's a lot of other variables that come into play, other aspects of the paranormal, either be spiritual or other type of anomalous activity, even UFOs and possible otherworldly beings. So it's just not a singular thing for the most part. We usually do run into other anomalous activity when we look into cryptids.
Oh, so you think they're all intertwined?
Oh, absolutely. I'm convinced of that now.
Do you think it's so? Do you think it's almost like a form of quantum jumping?
It could be, but I doubt that. I think it's when we can define quantum jumping,
Mhm.
I guess maybe we'll be able to define what it really is. But for the most part, it's something we just don't really understand. I mean, we can say interdimensional travel, we can see gateways and,
Right,
and, and
exactly.
portals, but we just don't know what that is. But
Mhm.
the reason we do use the term is because we have had witnesses that have literally seen these things manifest and then vanish, like they're going through an invisible doorway. The Chicago Mothman sightings have been reminiscent of that because we've had several witnesses that have encountered that. So I do believe that
It almost sounds like a time slip as well. I mean, it has
it could be. Yeah. I mean, when you're talking about time slips, you're kind of relating to something previous that may have existed
right.
on this plane. We don't
Mhm.
know if that's the case. I don't think it is, but I just think just by the what I pick up with my intuitiveness and other forms of abilities, I do believe that these things come from somewhere else.
Interesting. I mean, that you actually can explain away ghosts that way, in the same way as that, as well as the dimensional being.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
And of course, I first used it for that. I've used it to move these energies onto other levels. It just depends on the situation. Everything with energy has free will, and when you're dealing with an energy that maybe doesn't even know it's past, or is trying to communicate with the living, causing a haunting and scaring the living daylights out of the living. And you go in there trying to move it on, but if it doesn't want to leave, there's not much you can really do about it.
Mhm.
Do you
Now
have
you
any
go ahead.
do you coordinate with any other organizations, or are you pretty much autonomous?
I've got a team of about 20 people nationwide, and I have about 35 other groups that are affiliates if I need help.
That's fantastic.
Right. So are you? I mean, they're all active things. I mean, we have like, I remember when TAPS first came out, and I heard them for the first time. They were talking about their groups all over the world, but in reality, they weren't really that active. They were just groups
Yeah,
in
it's
name.
mostly name only. No,
Yeah,
I
name only.
use when I need help, I will contact them and ask if they can help out. It's usually because I don't have someone there to do the boots on the ground investigation. So one of my other groups, the affiliate groups, is local. I can usually try to convince them to look into a few things for me.
So do you do expeditions where you go out for a period of time to, try to verify or explore a eyewitness account?
We do occasionally, but very rarely. Um, I guess it's just not as convenient as it used to be to do all that.
Mhm.
But if it's a case that has potential to where it could be something much bigger, uh, where it's going to require other people to be involved with it, yeah, we can set something like that up.
Oh, interesting. How do you select your cases?
I select what comes my way. I mean, basically, I get somebody contacts me, explains everything. If it's just another case or another report that I feel is not a whole lot we can do about it, or just a sighting, uh, I'll write about it. I'll get as much information I can get and post it. But if it's something else, especially if it's local, where incidents have been occurring and continue to occur, we will take some time and go look for it and go deeper into it. I've been involved with cases that have lasted a dozen years. I was involved with a haunting in Sioux City, Iowa, for almost 12 years that required constant monitoring and working with the victims. But sometimes it does take a lot of time, especially with something you just don't understand. And eventually, you may get the answer, but you never know. It just requires time. The one thing I like to do with my cases is I like to do a lot of follow up. I like to do like a maintenance or a care to keep up with them, to see what they're
Excellent.
doing, how things are going. It may require some other work from me. But yeah, I mean that's just the way I do things. I mean, I know not everybody does that, but I normally latch onto a case that if there's no real explanation at the time, I continuously stay on it until I get some more tangible evidence. And if the witnesses are starting to become not even better acquainted with what they're dealing with, but if they're satisfied with what I've done for them and that they continue on relatively at ease.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. Leslie and myself and the rest of my group has been investigating the paranormal for probably about 25 years now. And one thing we always ask is when we have a client is, what do you want from us? What do you expect from us? And that's, I think, is kind of important as far as the client's thoughts and also what we're doing as well, what we should be doing. Do you agree with that? Or
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you got to have a level of trust there, and the fact that you will be working with them, and you kind of set some ground rules basically. And I do ask those clients I'm working with not to go outside of what I'm doing with you. You can do anything you want when I'm done working with you, but
right.
I will continue on my way, and I just ask them to basically follow the rules. And my parameters aren't overbearing, but I do require a few things. And I tell them that if you're going to work with me, first of all, you're going to have to trust me.
Mm-hmm.
And if I ask you to do something, I expect it to be done. And sure, I can listen to argument about whether you want to do it or not do it, but it's part of the process, and I make that understood from the very beginning.
Okay. We have to take a break right now. We're going to take a short break, and then we'll be back. And I have a couple other questions for you. It's been interesting, to say the least. You've been listening to Ghost Chronicles, the medium rare edition, right here on TogiNet, PowerX Radio, and where all good podcasts go. I am Ron Kolick. She is Leslie Martin. Our special guest today is Lon Strickler, and we're brought to you by Circles of Wisdom, 386 Merrimack Street, Methuen, Massachusetts, the Gallant Messier Family Law Group, 55 High Street, North Andover, Massachusetts. Our very good friends on Ghost Chronicles Radio and Patreon, like John in the chat. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with Lon.
Do you have a paranormal event, book, or something else you want people to know about? Then why not advertise it on Ghost Chronicles Radio? With over 150,000 downloads a month, get your message out to an audience that's interested in the subject. We have a plan at a cost that fits your needs. For more information, contact Ron Kolick at anyghostproject@comcast.net or call 978-455-6678.
Located in Illinois, there lies a sleepy little town where nothing is a common occurrence.
You going to that party in town tonight?
Heck yeah! I only turned 18 once.
That is until the night of celebration.
Where the hell is she? Oh no. No, Jessica!
What's happening?
From the creators of Shadowhunter, bite me comes a tale of primal terror and grindcore mayhem. Shadow hunters, kill, Jessica, kill!
Oh, are you reading me? Come in. Hello? Greetings from the Shadow, and welcome to Shadowzine. My name is Jeff Belanger. I'm an author, podcaster, and explorer of the unexplained. For 30 years, I've been investigating the paranormal, UFOs, monsters, and things that bump in the night. Lately, you may have noticed how major TV networks and even social media networks have been pushing our favorite subject back into the shadows. I say good. That's why I launched Shadowzine, a monthly underground publication that covers your favorite topics in depth by some of the leading writers and researchers out there. If you're looking for 30-second TikTok clips, go somewhere else. If you're ready for a deeper dive, put down your phone and pick up Shadowzine. You can't find it in stores. This is old school print. Head to shadowzine.com and be part of the underground revolution. That's shadowzine.com, and I'll see you in the shadow.
Welcome back, everyone. You are listening to Ghost Chronicles, the medium rare edition, with your hosts, Ron Kolek, me, Leslie Martin, and our guest tonight is Lou Strickler. I'm sorry, Lon Strickler. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
There you are. I have a question for you. Do you find with the development of AI that people are trying to pass off things to you that are really not true?
Honestly, I haven't really noticed that. I'm not saying that it won't happen. I think a lot of us incorporate AI into a lot of what we do now, but as far as developing or creating cases or creating incidents, I haven't seen it to be a problem. I will usually try to prompt that into another one more into my AI program and to see if there's any similarities or anything else that's been tried to pass off. But and I do check it. But at this point now, I don't think it's really a problem.
Well, that's good.
Really, I do a show with Steve Parsons, a parapsychologist from the UK, and we were just talking about this in the last show that you really can't trust any photo or video uh, e- evidence that are given today, or even audio, because AI is uh, so good now that it's almost hard to distinguish.
And it's
So
such a
much so,
shame. It's such a shame because, people come forward with these things that are honestly true, and people are just like, it's AI, no
Mhm.
one's going to believe anything anymore.
Yeah. AI is so good now; it actually can change the stamp on video and stuff that it actually changes from where original source of it. So anyway, uh, so let's see where we. Oh, so you do a lot of things. You talked about your involvement in the paranormal in general. Is there one particular area that you find the most interest in, or uh, not? You just open to everything.
I guess it depends on the situation or the case itself. I go deep diving into a case. That's what I'm concerned about at the moment. But overall, I have always had an affinity for cryptids, in particular the Mothman phenomena or the winged humanoid phenomena.
Mhm.
I just find it fascinating as I'm going further and further into it. Uh, this is just not a local phenomenon. This is something that's happening worldwide, and why they're showing up and if they have an agenda or what it is or what are they really? I mean, we just don't have those answers. So, yeah, I kind of hope that I can eventually get some discovery as far as to what this phenomena entails. But I'd have to say, yeah, the winged humanoid phenomena is of much interest to me.
I find that interesting that about the wing firm, because when you think about it, the conception or perception of angels is exactly that, a wing humanoid. So perhaps these sightings were back, thousands of years, but they were, considered supernatural beings.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it comes in all forms. I do believe in angels. I'm not a spiritual. I mean, I'm not a religious person. I'm very spiritual, but I do believe that these beings that we consider angels are probably another or otherworldly type of being, possibly an extraterrestrial. I don't know, but I do feel that I have been able to contact them, and I have been able to use them over the period of time. My wife as well was deeply into angels, and I learned a lot from her. But yeah, it's much different than what people are actually seeing out there now. And the fact that these creatures do have a humanoid type of form to them, a body with arms and legs, but the fact that they have some type of wings or something that they use to propel through the air, yeah, it's different. So this whole, I had an encounter back in 1988, which I think kind of really sparked a lot of this with me. I always knew about the Mothman and I was interested in it, but I kind of fell into a case where I was investigating certain sounds and things that were going on at a Boy Scout camp. And me and two other gentlemen kind of ran into one of these things without expecting it. And after that occurred, I really became enthralled with the whole winged humanoid phenomenon.
Mhm. It's so interesting that when you watch any of like the documentaries on any of these winged phenomena, they always say, "Well, must be a barn owl," and that's kind of one they throw at you all the time, that it's a barn owl, and you can, you see it because it's at a different angle and so forth, and it looks bigger, or it looks whatever. What's your thoughts on that? Are any of these humanoid sightings barn owls?
Well, they can be. I mean, people can misinterpret what they're seeing. Absolutely. Uh, for the most part, when people are reporting something that's 7 to 8 foot tall and wingspan of 15 to 20 feet, that's a little bit different. I mean, we know then it's not an owl.
Well, it's also perception too. It depends
It's
on.
also perception, but when you
Yeah.
have several people see the thing and give you the same
Okay, I
description,
agree. Yeah.
yeah, then you're falling into something else. So,
Right.
and that's what we've been going through with Chicago. I mean, that's the strangest thing about it. Uh, I mean, much like what happened at Point Pleasant, but at on a larger scale, being in an urban area like Chicago and the surrounding areas. When all of a sudden people are starting to report this thing, and when they contact you and tell you what they saw, and their description is exactly like everybody else's, even though they have no idea this has been going on around them. I still get witnesses who come forward and tell me what they've encountered, and it's exactly not or very close to what other people have been saying, but they have no idea this phenomenon has been going on in Chicago area for over a decade.
Mhm. So the Point Pleasant one has always been assumed to be that he was a portent of the disaster of the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that the same aspect that's happening in Chicago? Will there be a disaster because of these sightings, or is it unrelated?
Well, the whole portent of doom or harbinger thing, I don't buy into that. I
Okay.
think Point Pleasant, because of the Silver Bridge collapse in on December 15th, 1967, or was it 67 or 66? I forget. But anyway, you had 36 people die on a bridge that collapsed. Of course, you got a small town, where it's right before Christmas, and all these people have died, and people are looking for answers. And of course, this whole phenomena had been going on in the area for over a year. People had continuously reported seeing this winged being. And kind of after the fact, somebody came out after the bridge collapse and said, "Oh, I saw the Mothman that night hovering above the bridge. So it must have been a harbinger." That type of thing. I kind of blame John Keel for kind of working that up a bit. He was a journalist, so that whole harbinger thing got stuck to the Mothman. Now, of course, when we started getting the sightings in Chicago, and look, when I started looking into this, I wasn't calling it Chicago Mothman. I was calling it Chicago Phantom. Mm-hmm. And as time went on, the reports kept coming in. I kept reporting what people were telling me and my colleagues. The Chicago media kind of wanted to connect it to the Mothman. And, to try to avoid confusing people, I went ahead with the Mothman moniker on that. But, that's kind of where it led up to. If you want to equate it to the Mothman at Point Pleasant, I mean, the description's almost entirely different, other than the red eyes. The body style is different. The wing structure is different. The Mothman at Point Pleasant was more aggressive. I believe there are other factors involved. I think the Mothman of Point Pleasant was a guardian, basically. It was a summoned guardian or a summoned sentinel of some type, trying to protect a very strong indigenous spirit around the West Virginia Ordnance Works. I think it was basically summoned in, possibly from another dimension or wherever it came from. And, I have done a lot of work down in Point Pleasant, especially around where the old TNT factory used to be at. But through EVPs and other some of my abilities, I've determined myself that I believe it was a summoned being. I don't know if that's what's going on in Chicago. I do believe that there's certain portal areas. I think there's a lot of ley line activity in Chicago that extends out from the lake west beyond Chicago. There's certain areas where many of the sightings have concentrated at. And I think it comes down to some way of them able to move in to our Earth plane and keeping a corporeal aspect to them.
So that's your theory on the interdimensional beings, why you believe in it, that they are that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do.
Sense, of course, yeah. So as far as the red eye thing, I mean, that thing never really, like, I thought that was like supernatural or anything, because I know that eyes are very perceptive. I mean, and they can be seen as red eyes by, over the years, centuries actually, people have seen the animals with red eyes, and that's just reflectory lights on their eyes.
Well, in the case of the Mothman, from all the witness reports I've had and my encounter that I had in 1988 here in Pennsylvania, it's not reflected light, it's projected light. There's no doubt in my mind that these are supernatural beings. Okay. They're able to move without the use of their wings many times.
So they're not thunderbirds or anything like that?
No. No, they're entirely different than any other type of avian cryptid.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I just threw that out there. It's, I can't tell you because I have never witnessed a Mothman or any other cryptid with red eyes before. I've seen regular creatures with red eyes, but never a cryptid at all.
Could you tell us a little more about your encounter?
Well, it was October 1988. I was actually living in Baltimore at the time. I was actually antiquing out the old Timonium Fairgrounds, and
Oh, good
they have
man.
they have a couple other buildings there, and they had a Boy Scout, some type of get together or something going on for troops around the area.
Jamboree.
It was like a jamboree, I guess.
Yep.
They were, but it was inside. It wasn't an outside thing.
Okay.
But anyway, I had been in Boy Scouts when I was younger, and I ran into a guy I went to school with who had a troop up here in Pennsylvania, and I hadn't seen this guy in about a dozen years. And in fact, he and I used to spend a lot of time on the Gettysburg battlefield as kids, when you could actually sneak on there at nighttime and camp. But and we saw a lot of stuff together. So I saw him. It was just a chance meeting. We took some time, had some lunch. We were sitting there catching up on things, and he asked me. He said, "Are you still involved with the paranormal?" I said, "Yeah." I said, I've been doing a few things here and there. I mean, this is back in '88, so I hadn't really been involved with it a whole long time. But he said, "Look, me and another scout leader are going up to old Camp Conawago, and next weekend. Do you want to tag along?" What happened was, he said, this past summer, there had been several troops that had been literally run out of the woods at the campgrounds because of this horrendous screaming sound that's coming from deep in the woods. And the kids were getting scared, and they packed up and left. It happened 5 times in the summer.
Wow.
So they said they were planning on going up. I mean, what's the chance of, falling into that? So he asked me. I said, "Sure, I'll go up with you, see what you can find." So we had no idea what was going on. I thought it was probably something natural, but Anyway, I met them up there that next Friday night. We traipsed into the woods and set up our camp and everything, and we were just sitting around, and nothing going to happen the first night. We had 3 tents, one for each of us, and we woke up the next morning. And the other guy had mentioned hearing something walking through the campsite. And I had heard something walking through the campsite, but I didn't know what it was. I thought maybe one of them are getting up to relieve themselves or whatever. So I didn't really pay much attention to it. And there was nothing disturbed in the campsite. So we just brushed it off. Well, anyway, we were going to spend that Saturday out walking around the area, do some hiking, see if anything came up, see if there was anything strange, especially in the area where they heard these sounds coming from. So we didn't really find much of anything. We got back to the campsite about 6 o'clock. It was already turning dark. Ate some dinner, sitting around the campfire, talking football, whatever came to mind. Around 10 o'clock or so, I think it was, we heard a screaming sound. Now, it was coming from the west, but it didn't really sound like anything that bad to me. It was pretty far away from what I could tell. But I thought maybe it was just an animal screaming. Animals do scream. Animals leave all kinds of different, straight, crazy noises out there.
Yeah.
So we decided, well, let's stay up a while yet and see what happens. So about an hour or an hour and a half later, we heard this terrifying scream coming from the west. And it literally sounded like a woman was screaming. And it was weird because the Doppler effect, it was kind of fading in and out like it was moving or flying away and coming back. It was really strange. So we decided then that we're definitely staying up tonight. So, so it happened that one time, and then we decided to stay up. So we were sitting around the fire talking, and it was getting late. I guess it was about 1 o'clock in the morning. I was getting stiff, so I got up and started walking around to kind of stretch a bit. I walked out onto the trail. Now you had the campsite, the trail, then the creek was on the other side of the trail. So I stood out there on the trail for a bit, and I'm thinking, I just feel something's weird. Something's off a bit. You know how you get that feeling like something's watching you. But I walked back to them, and I said, "Look, we're not doing anything right now. Let's grab our flashlights and go out the trail." walk up and down the trail a bit. Maybe we'll see something. Okay, we're not doing anything. Let's do that. So we grabbed our flashlights, walked back to back to back on the trail, heading west. We got about 50 foot away and we saw it. Now, this night, it was the moon, I don't think it was full, but it was pretty bright. We could see almost everything, But this dark figure was standing in the middle of the creek. I'd say it was about 6 foot high, but it had these red eyes. I mean, it was literally like a parking light,
Really bright.
shining back at you. And by the time we got the flashlight on this thing literally jettisoned itself into the area so fast that it left a whooshing sound.
Holy cow.
And it reached its apex, screamed out, and took off. Well, we're freaking out. We didn't know what the hell we just saw. We ran back to the campsite. My buddy, he's not talking. He's freaked out. He's in shock, and I'm watching him see if he's going to be okay. The other guy, he was pretty calm. He said, "Did you see something on its back?" And I did. It was like it had large wings on its back, but they were folded up. Now they did extend over the head, so they had some pretty good size to them. But we never saw it unfurl to be able to launch itself. I mean, it launched like it was a rocket. It was really weird. So eventually, my buddy opened his mouth and said, "Look, I'm not staying out here tonight. I'm going up the administration building and sleep up there." Okay. Well, they both went up there. I wanted to see what this thing was, so I stayed at the campsite, but nothing else happened that night.
You stayed by yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So I was out there. I spent the night. I slept in the tent. Never heard a thing. And so that was 1988. I think it was 20 years later after I had started the book. Now, look, I have told a couple of people about this account. I didn't really mention a lot of it. It kind of turned into a small tale locally. Everybody were calling it the old red eye, but it kind of turned into an urban legend. But what happened was after I started posting about it on the blog, I went through a full description of it. I started getting responses. And one of the first responses I got was from a guy who lived at Dick's Dam, which was downstream from where we were. And he called me. He said, I've been hearing screaming sounds coming from west of the campsites for years now. And I never knew what it was. You think that's what it was you had an encounter with? And I said, well, of course, I don't know if it was, but it could have been, I guess. Not long later, I got an email from another scout leader who had just been out to Camp Conawago a couple of months previous to that and said, one Saturday we were at the campsites. We were at the camp, and my troop and I were all set up. So it was a Saturday afternoon. The boys were running out on the trail and exploring like kids do. And after a while, they all came running back, crying and screaming and telling him they saw a dragon. Well, what the hell was a dragon? He tried to get them to explain it to him or describe it. He thought they were pulling his leg. Of course, he thought they were playing with him. But they didn't leave. They stayed the rest of the weekend, and nobody saw anything or heard anything. So after I had posted this on the blog, then we started getting the reports. And I was getting reports from, we had 5 subsequent reports up along the Conawago Creek from the camp downstream to where it empties into the Susquehanna River. And all the descriptions were very similar. In fact, everybody who had seen it were in their cars and saw this thing coming out of the creek valley. So, all the descriptions were very, very similar. So as time has gone on, we have been getting reports in this area of other winged humanoids, very Mothman-like. In fact, we've had 3 other reports in the area since that time. So, this is something that has kind of started itself around this area, along with other types of cryptids we deal with. And I was predestined to get involved with this Chicago Mothman thing, because in 2011, that's when it started to be reported out there. And
Geez, we should have started the show with you with this. This is an excellent story. Thank you so much for this, but we've run out of time. I mean, that's a really a cool account. Like I said, I really wish we had started it with it, because I thought that was very interesting. So, Lon, if people want to find out more about you and what you do and everything, or report something to you, how can they do that?
Well, they can just go to my website at phantomsandmonsters.com. There's links there to where they can contact me or send a report to me, or buy one of my books or this and that. There's a lot of ways of going on there. And I also have a YouTube show, Phantoms and Monsters Radio, that we do live every Friday night.
Oh, excellent. And we appreciate it, because, quite frankly, we don't get enough people that are involved in cryptoids on the show, which is, a really disappointment. So I appreciate you coming on and sharing this with us.
Yes,
No
it was
problem.
a treat listening to you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
No problem.
All right. You have a good night, and you stay safe, and let us know if anything finds out definitive on this Chicago Mothman thing.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you so much.
Take
Have
care.
a good evening.
Mm-hmm.
Good night, everyone. Thanks for listening, and God bless. Stay safe.
From ghoulies to ghosties, long-leggedy beasties, and things that go bump in the night. Deliver us, good Lord.